to the Royal Daily Tea YouTube channel. Please be advised all of my videos are for entertainment purposes only, based 100% on my own opinion, my own theories, and my own research. All of my information can be found on the public domain and falls under the fair use guidelines. Please feel free to do your own research. Hello and welcome back to the Royal Daily Tea. So we have a lot of juicy tea to get through today. So sit back and relax, grab yourself a beverage, and let's get into the Royal Daily Tea. So, oh my goodness, the Danish royals are popping off, guys. They are now experiencing their version of Megxit. Prince Joachim and his wife, Princess Marie, they have been complaining about the royal life for quite a while, and there's been some old interviews that have resurfaced from 2020 and 2021. Now, him and his wife have moved to France starting in 2020. There were rumors that there was a huge power struggle behind the scenes and a huge royal rift, much like the British royals with Harry and Prince William and Prince Charles. They're also having their own kind of royal battle behind the scenes. I tell you, it is always the spare to the heir that is always causing the problems. So he tells the story, Prince Joachim, that there was never quite a place for him and his wife within the royal household. There was never any jobs to do, there was nothing written, and there was nothing in the royal calendar. Now, I don't know a lot about the Danish royals, how much work there is for the royals, but I do know for the UK royals, there's so much to do, and I don't feel like they have enough working royals to cover all of their patronages. But with Denmark, Denmark is a very small country. I don't know how many patronages they actually manage. But according to him, he had a hard time fighting his place, the spare to the heir. He also made a reference to his late father, who was the prince consort to his mother, who was the queen, saying that his father also had a very hard time mapping out his place and his role, as there is nothing written or no expectations written in the Danish royal family. Now, a lot of people talked about Prince Philip. He was the prince consort to Queen Elizabeth, and how he had a very hard time in the beginning adjusting to supporting his wife. You know, as a man, that's a big thing, to stand behind your woman who's the queen. It's a very different thing than a king and a queen. If the king is the ruling monarch, the queen knows her place. But sometimes for a man, it is very hard for them to take 2 steps back behind their wife and support them. But Prince Philip, in my opinion, overcame those obstacles, and he set the precedent and kind of created a role for himself. But according to Prince Joachim, he paints a very sad picture of his father, the former prince consort, who also had a very, very hard time cutting out a role for himself. And so now he figures he's just like his dad. I'm sorry, cry me a river. So there's definitely some drama going on here in the Danish fold. His wife and him moved to France, but according to the wife, she made it seem like it wasn't their choice, that they were pretty much exiled out of Denmark. So again, we don't have any facts, but they're alluding to the fact that they didn't have anything to do, they didn't have any attention, there was no roles for them, and they were pretty much ostracized and told to leave, or it wasn't their choice to leave. Now, back in 2019, Prince Joachim was doing a very stringent 6-day-a-week military training program, and he was due to return back to Denmark at the end of 2020, but he suffered a life-altering stroke. And so at that point, he moved to France to become the defense attaché for the Danish embassy in Paris. So he has been in Paris holding this position for over 2 years. His two oldest sons are both fashion models. His other two kids are in school. They also do receive money from the Danish royal family. So it seems like they're all adjusting out of the royal fold. Not really sure why now he's upset that his children are losing those royal titles. There was a story that came out that his youngest daughter, Athena, was getting bullied in school because she no longer is, quote, a princess. But again, I feel like this is first world problems from a person who's grown up very privileged, much like Prince Harry. I'm telling you, he's like Prince Harry 20 years from now. A very privileged person who's crying in his golden teacup because there wasn't anything for him on the calendar. You still get money, you still grew up in privilege, you're still in the line of succession. He still has a very nice home in Denmark and he has a job. So again, he's still better off than most of us are, and he's mad that his children will not be prince and princess, but they will be count and countess. Does a title really mean anything when your children or 7th and 10th in line to the throne, and they don't even live in Denmark? Call me a countess. I would gladly take that title, but he's crying over stuff that's really not relevant because he's not even in the country. He's not a working royal. He has a job. He gets money. He has a lot of the trappings of being a royal prince. But maybe they wanted to be working royals. Again, I'm not 100% sure what happened there. But according to them, they were exiled from Denmark to France, and they never had any royal duties or anything to do in the royal calendar. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that story unfolds. I'm on team Queen Margrethe. Now, a lot of people, apparently it's very split in Denmark. People are calling her the Ice Queen, which I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. But again, we don't know all of the details. So if you're in Denmark or if you're from overseas and you know more, please let me know. Email me if you know what happened, if there was a royal rift between the brothers. Were they ostracized to France, or are they whining kind of like Meghan and Harry and did a exile themselves? So I'm very, very interested to see how that unfolds. Now there's another story that came out that possibly that King Charles could strip Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice of their titles. In my personal opinion, and nothing against these girls, they never should have had the princess or HRH titles in the first place. That is my opinion. I don't think they should have ever had it, but the queen was being very gracious and just giving it out to her kids. All of her other kids besides King Charles, who is the direct heir to the throne, denied having these titles for their children. Princess Anne and Prince Edward didn't give their kids these titles because they knew it wasn't necessary and they wanted their kids to have more freedom. But of course, Prince Andrew, the spare, he needed to have the princess and the HRH title for his girls. Again, these girls grow up with this title and expectation. Now, back in 2011, it is known that King Charles, he cut the security detail for the princesses because he didn't feel like they needed to be provided for because that is paid for by the taxpayer. So that was cut off a long time ago. It is said that Prince Andrew himself has been paying for his daughter's securities. I don't know if he's still doing that, but there was a huge, huge fight way back in 2011 between Prince Andrew and King Charles. So could King Charles remove the titles from these ladies who are in their 30s and maybe make them ladies or maybe Duchess or Countess? I don't know what he would call them, but that could be very controversial. I don't see him taking the titles away from them, but I definitely can see him just not giving it to Archie and Lily. But there's a really strong story. They could have their titles revoked. So let me know below if you think that could happen. Now, Meghan Markle's podcast is dropping today, Tuesday, with Monteshitshow. This is the 4th episode. There was a 2-week break in honor of Her Majesty's death, but now her podcast is coming out talking about being an Asian in America. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to be in this podcast, because there were rumors that Meghan may or may not have done some quick editing out just in case there were some negative comments, veered toward the royal family. Again, a lot of people were questioning Spotify and their ranking system. I currently do not know what Meghan's podcast is ranked at currently, but I know it is no longer on the #1 spot. So we're going to see what happens after this 4th episode airs. Now, the other story that has been circulating is Prince Harry's memoir. They were definitely shooting for a November release, but now it is rumored it's not going to happen until 2023, that Harry really wants to have some edits on his book. So this sounds like his project is dead in the water, much like their Netflix docuseries. There's another rumor circulating that this docuseries is now being pushed back until 2023. The docuseries that has like 20 years of footage. It's getting to the point where this project is so massive. They have so much footage of all those things they've been doing for the past 2.5 years. In my opinion, I think it's dead in the water. Netflix is running out of money. People are running out of patience. You have to strike when the iron is hot. And it's literally been 2.5 years since they have signed the deal with Netflix, and so far, nada. Pearl was canceled. Now this docuseries from hell that just keeps on going with all that footage that they keep collecting. Do people really want to watch that? Do people really want to watch Meghan give those speeches, those eerie speeches with Harry looking uncomfortable and squirming and the fake audience? It's like, really, does anyone want to watch the last 2.5 years of this fake PR fluff that they're going to push and say it's a reality show, when we all know it's a carefully scripted docuseries that Meghan is directing? That's called hell. You know what I mean? Like, lock me in a room for 2 hours. That would literally be a nightmare. Maybe they should call it a horror show and release it for Halloween. So there's rumors now that they're kind of panicking because Her Majesty passed away. Nobody expected it to happen this soon. So now they're panicking. They have to take out a lot of negative stuff that they've said about the Queen, about King Charles, about Prince William, because it's in really bad taste. I mean, first of all, it's always been in bad taste to sit there and make money trashing your family. But now that Her Majesty has passed and they have witnessed firsthand the love and the support and the respect that people have paid to Her Majesty, but also to King Charles and the rest of the royal family, even to Meghan and Harry, that it really does make them look like a bunch of ungrateful morons to sit there and constantly complain and say these people are horrible to us, but yet those people showed nothing but love and respect to you and your entire family. In my opinion, they need to scrap this show. He needs to scrap the book, sell your house, and go live in a little normal house. You know what I mean? You wanted to be a normal person, live within your means. So there's rumors that it's dead in the water. There's a very good possibility Netflix could cancel this docuseries. They've already canceled Pearl. This docuseries is just going and going and going, and now they have to go back and edit out all of this stuff. If I was the executives at Netflix, I would just cut my losses. Cut your losses. These two are not going to bring you back any money. He still has The Heart of Invictus, which was filmed 6 months ago, and that still has not aired. Then we have this memoir from hell that's now going back for a rewrite. First, he had the first draft, and it was told it was drab. Then he put on all this gossip, And now he's like, yeah, I can't really say that anymore. And now he has to go back and edit it again. So it's like these two are still the non-producing Sussexes. They are still a failure to launch. The only thing that is really going right now is Meghan Markle's podcast, which has had some mediocre success. But again, I think it's going to start waning off. Now, I don't know if she's going to appear on those talk shows and those other magazine appearances that she was going to do before the Queen passed away. We know she's getting some kind of GQ award in November for her charity work. I mean, I don't know what her charity work is. Is her charity work being married to Harry and dragging him around in her purse? Like, is that a charitable act? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see if they actually produce a book or a docuseries. Now, the rumor was they wanted to have it right after The Crown debuts in November. And of course, that's also King Charles's birthday month. But the poor man just came to the throne. Now he has the crown, and he doesn't know 100% if Harry's book is still going to come out or not. And then we have this stupid docu-series that's being pushed out to 2023. So I don't know, guys. I think Netflix is getting a little weary of the Sussexes not producing what they promised to produce. And again, they're having money problems. And it's rumored that the CEO is getting a lot of pressure to make it happen because Harry and Meghan are not producing. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this docu-series is dead in the water and that Netflix is just going to cancel them and let the non-producing Sussexes go? Or do you think it's actually going to come out next year? What about Harry's memoir? Do you think this is going to be rewritten and pushed off till 2023? Or do you think he's actually going to get a book out in time for Christmas? Leave me your comments, guys, down below. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. And I just launched 2 new videos over on my Patreon account. I have a crock pot recipe and my Netflix recommendations. And for the month of October, we're going to do some really fun paranormal stories, ghost stories, as well as some fun folklore and haunted royal stories over on my Patreon. So if you're interested, it's only $3 a month. There is a link below. Please be sure to check me out on all of my other social media accounts. As always, I appreciate y'all for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.